Hello, friends. Host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and today I'm having a conversation with. Why don't you introduce yourself as you'd like to be referred to in this conversation?
Uh, James, it's fine.
Okay. James contacted me wanting to discuss cognitive functions a bit and having some ideas that he particularly thought were of interest discussing. And so I thought I just said, okay, sure, because I typically I'll respond to those sort of things. So, what is let me begin by asking you, what's kind of your experience with cognitive functions? When did you discover the topic, and what's been your working with it so far?
I discovered it about a year ago, just going through YouTube. I don't even remember what I was searching, but somebody's video came up. I think it was the Barracuda, the INFJ guy,
I know who you're talking
and
about.
yeah, and I kind of related to him a little bit, more than anybody else I'd met basically in my life. Um, So that kind of got me going, and I took the test, and I got the INFP, and he was an INFJ, and that
He
just
says
got
he's an
me,
INFJ.
one video after another after another.
Okay,
I could see the differences between me and him a little bit, but not, you know, as much as I should probably.
so do you currently self-identify as INFP?
Um, I guess if I would have to pick, yeah, I would think so.
So, do you think that the self is comprised of different parts, that means something different than that the self experiences stuff through different cognitive functions?
I think that they're kind of one and the same. But looking at it through maybe a little bit different of a lens, I guess.
Okay.
Or at least for me, I mean, they kind of work hand in hand, so it's kind of hard to separate them.
Okay. Well, for example, let's say a part of me is really angry about something, but a part of me can understand where the other person's coming from.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think those parts represent?
I think the part of you that wants to let it go and sees their side is who you're supposed to be, is the kind of person that you're supposed to be. And the part of you that's angry is your ability to make your own decisions and have basically free will. I think whatever the Bible wants to call free will, I don't want to get too spiritual, but that type of thing.
Okay.
That's your choice. That's your other choice, I guess, if you want to call
So
it that.
is forgiveness and or understanding always preferable?
Um, I think it's always preferable, yeah, because I think even if you come out on the bottom, you learn lessons that you can take with you through life that can be way more valuable than that one experience was or could have been.
Okay. So, in general, between lessons and experience, what do you tend to identify with more? Are you somebody who feels as though you have a limited access to the experiences of the past and more access to the lessons, or vice versa?
I would say I like what do I you mean what do I think about more about those experiences?
Well, I'm saying if you're reflecting upon your own knowledge base, how much of life do you think you approach through the universal
Uh,
rules that you generate from your experience, and how much do you think you approach life from extrapolating out from your experience, assuming that's representative of how your future endeavors are going to go?
I think the majority of my life I do based on my experience, like you were saying, the first one.
Okay.
You were breaking up a little bit, but I got the gist of what you're saying.
Okay. So, what what are some of the issues in cognitive functions and typology that you think are particularly interesting questions or points deserving of analysis that...
What is
Say again? Let me reset my internet.
breaking up a little
I'm
bit?
having an internet problem. Let me reset it.
Yeah, let's try to reconnect.
Give me 1 minute. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties. Please stand by. Thank you for your patience. One of our operatives will be here shortly to operate on you. We appreciate your positive regard in the face of such rudeness on our part. Nothing we can do about it. We're born that way. Rudeness is like homosexuality in that regard. It's an ontological matter. I'm back. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so hopefully that fixed the problem. I just reset the internet.
Okay.
So I kind of forgot what I was asking you.
You were asking me what I base my life decisions on, I think.
Oh yeah, about I'm just saying when you're reflecting upon your own knowledge bases. You said experience. Okay, so what if you've lived? Let's say you're on your deathbed at age 92, and you look back at your life and you say, I did a good job. I led a good life. I succeeded. I win this game. I get the gold medal for doing a good job of life. What have you done during those ensuing years?
I think you've left some type of a positive impact on as many people as you can, because I think that's the only way you can really change anything for the better in the long term.
And what do you think comprises a positive impact?
I think just being, I know I hate to sound like this, but just being a good person basically and doing the right thing. Because even if you, like I said, you come out on the bottom, it's even showing that person, or it can show somebody else or teach them a lesson that they take through life and that affects this many people through them. It can be a ripple effect. And you can hit one person and they can hit one person, and those two people, hit more and more people.
Okay, so sort of a
Your one voice is a lot louder than you think.
Right. Well, I'm definitely the school of thought that says people ought to be very careful with their language, and my understanding of what careful means has increased as I've aged to include more vectors. I have a question here, and I cut and paste into the chat. If you see the chat there, it may have popped up, or maybe you can make the chat open. It says, you and your non-romantic, non-family member, same-aged, same-gender friend are manning an info booth at an outside event. It's very slow. Almost no one wants your info. Your friend got cold 30 minutes ago and borrowed your jacket. Now the sun has gone down, and now you are cold. You say brr a couple of times, but your friend makes no sign of returning your jacket. You both need to remain in the location for more than 1 hour. For 1 more hour. What do you do?
I don't know. I had to reread that because I kind of made a booth outside an event. So I made a booth. I say we just make the best of the hour that we got left, because it's only an hour and we're going to be home pretty soon anyway. So it's not going to be the end of the world. I'll be alive still. Your mic cut out now.
So who's going to stay cold, you or your friend?
Oh, I would think. I mean, if he's that cold, if it was a girl, I'd definitely, get a jacket or something for her. But
Well, that's why he's not a girl.
oh, is it? Yeah. If he's that cold, he can have my jacket. But I doubt I would be hanging out with somebody that would insist on my jacket like that. Because I know I would give it to them if they knew me that well,
Okay.
if they asked for it.
Um, Here's another question that I've got these questions that I found this morning that I made a long time ago that I'd forgotten about, so I'm using them a little bit. Just see, I think they're fun questions, kind of. There's an empty lot near your house. At this lot, there are some building supplies, including odd shapes of lumber, nut boards, assorted cements and concretes, mixers, tools, and other such things. Are you more likely to look at this and guess what is being built there with that stuff, or to look and imagine what you would build there with that stuff if it were up to you?
Um, I would probably imagine what's being built there and try to figure out why it's being built and the location, where it's being built, and base everything. Try to put everything together and see what may be being built.
Okay.
I think that'd be more fun.
So, do you do any creative activities?
I do precision machining, like working with mills and lathes, forming metal.
What do you make with that?
Um, you can make basically anything. I made a little vise. You can make sign bars for, you know, you can make tap wrenches, any kind of tools or anything that's made out of metal that you can think of at all, a gun frame, anything
Huh.
you can make, yeah. So
Interesting.
you have to be good at math and good at details and being able to improvise and stuff when things go wrong. You're working with high speed cutters and stuff, so things do go
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah, you don't want to cut your hand off.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a
Okay.
lot of fun because you can use your imagination and stuff.
I'm going to paste this sentence here. It's not a sentence, it's a bunch of words that comprise a sentence, but they're out of order. And I want you to look at it and um, tell me what you think the sentence says when you piece it all together.
We had a chance to survive, and we need water. We have to stand. And I left R2 out and any. Can't think of what to do with those. I just tried to create something out of that.
Okay. So what it says is if we are to stand any chance of survival, we'll need to ration our food and water. All right. So it's interesting your response to it, which I'm not sure what this tests, but I will tell you this: that I just finished typing an INTP who got it pretty quickly, and got it exactly right pretty quickly. So it may be a test of TI. I'm not sure.
Well, the thing, right off the bat, I wasn't trying to solve it because I didn't want to sit here and think I was wasting your time trying to, figure it out. So I just figured I would try to create something out of it that was unique.
Huh. Interesting. It wouldn't have been wasting my time because even if you were laying there and sitting in silence and looking at it, it would be information that then we'd talk about after the fact. But that's also information we can talk about. The fact that you didn't
Yeah, I thought maybe that would
you were concerned
help.
about the media impacts. Okay, well, let's see. So, what makes you think, to the extent that you're an FI Dom, what makes you think you're an FI Dom?
I'm. What exactly is that? I don't want to say yet what I think.
Okay, well, an FI Dom would be an INFP or an ISFP. And it just means that for somebody who begins their stack with introverted feeling, they
Okay.
first and foremost do two things. They know how important something is to themselves or unimportant, and they, as a matter of judgment, try to put themselves in the other person's shoes rather than trying to make a disinterested calculus as though no people were involved, which is what TI does.
Okay. Um, Basically because that's how I go through my whole day is thinking about how what I'm doing or what I need to do is going to affect the people that are involved in my life, that are close to me.
Okay, but see,
I
there's
try
a
to come
difference
home.
here. There's a difference between what you're saying, potentially. I'm not sure if there is or not. I need to double check. So, what I'm saying is putting yourself in another person's shoes is like this. It's like, I could say this to Joe, but if I were Joe, how would I feel if somebody said that to me? Oh, that wouldn't make me feel good, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Versus how things are impacting others could be like, I want to make sure Joe thinks I'm smart, so I need to present
Okay,
myself
okay.
like this. That's a what another way of
What
impacting
I'm
others.
what I'm saying is like I want to make sure that when Joe comes home, say, or whoever comes home, that they're in a good mood and there's no reason for them to be stressed out or overwhelmed when they get home with dishes or stuff that type of thing. Make
Okay,
sure
and
that
is it because you care about those people, or is it do you care if they
I
know that you did the nice thing for them?
I don't know, I don't think it's that. I think it's more that I want the harmony or the peace, and I want to make sure that it stays like that. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't like when people are stressed out or anxious or, you know, because it tends to rub off on me pretty easily. If somebody's in a bad mood, I'll immediately get in a bad mood, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm even aware that it is going to happen, and it still happens.
Hmm. Contagious mood, huh?
It's real, yeah, it's odd.
I'd be interested in hearing from the viewing audience if they think contagious mood is a function of FI or FE. I'm curious. I don't really have a clear sense of it myself, which means it's probably more likely FI. But it's hard for me to say. I know certain moods are contagious for everybody, like yawning and laughter tends to be contagious. Yawning is
Yeah.
very contagious. Even talking about yawning makes me want to yawn right now.
The only thing I could come up with in my head was that I'm trying to subconsciously I'm trying to make myself feel how they're feeling so I can solve the problem faster. So I could put myself in their shoes, I guess.
So, do you think you're subconsciously doing that? Or do you think you're consciously doing that?
No, it would be subconsciously because I make a conscious effort not to, at least I think I do, not to get in a bad mood.
I see.
So, I don't like being in a bad mood either. But
Um,
I know the quicker it's over, the quicker it's.
so, can you relate to me a specific inconsequential event from within the last week or so? For example, a story where you went to a restaurant with Joe, and it was this restaurant at this place around this time, this day, and he dropped a fork. Something like that.
Um, oh, I'm not so good at doing that kind of stuff. I went to work yesterday morning and I was 5 minutes late for the first time.
For the first time ever.
Yeah, and I pressed the button with my finger to clock in 5 minutes late to add a detail.
Okay, can you add more details for that day? What happened after that? Where did you walk to after you pushed the button?
I walked to the back and I guess took a walk around and checked out the warehouse to make sure everything was like I left it the day before. Went and turned the computer on and did inventory. Basically, started work.
Is that like a daily routine?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Um, hmm. I'm not. This conversation isn't explicitly designed to type you, but I'm curious. I'm finding myself uncertain about a couple
I'm
of things.
curious. I've been too a little bit because I type definitely.
So, what other aspects of cognitive functions or typology do you think are of note? Curious. worth exploring further, or do you have any questions?
If it's hard for me to come up with any questions right now, like on the spot that I can think of. No.
So, what's your experience with typology in general? Do you read descriptions of types and try to determine which type you are? Do you watch videos about type? How did you come across me, for example?
Just watching videos. Just basically, I just go on YouTube, but I go through so many different. This isn't the only thing that I watch on YouTube. I'll watch all kinds of different you know abstract stuff on whatever I can think of.
So, like philosophy
Uh,
topics and such?
Anything from religious stuff to even astronomy and anything that somebody would think is weird. Basically, I like to listen to. I don't believe necessarily any of it, but I don't really believe anything. It's kind of hard for me to say I definitely believe this is how this is. This is what happens when we die. You know,
Why is it difficult for you to believe certain things? Is it because you? Well, you tell me. Why is it difficult to believe
I
certain
I,
things?
I think it's not. It's kind of more of a choice that I've made because I think once you believe something, then you close your mind off to the other possibilities. You can
Okay.
still you see what I'm saying?
There's textbook 6 slot NI right there. So what you just did was collapse things down to a truth for me. But the truth you collapsed was that things don't really collapse down to singular truths because that limits your ability to ideate further.
Yeah,
Now, that would be suggestive of any tool function because when you use ideation as a tool function, you find NI is always conflicting with it. NI is saying, let's close this set, let's resolve it into a singular thing that has no more potentiation. But with any of the tool function, you want to continue to ideate about it. So that produces what's called demonstrative NI. That is to say, you demonstrate how to collapse things down to singular truths for people, like you just did for me,
yeah.
but you don't like it when other people do that for you. You don't want other people to collapse things down to singular truths for you. That's your
Probably
job.
not.
And
You're probably not.
it's the same way with me and TE. I want to tell other people how to do things, but I don't want other people to tell me how to do things.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So that brings us back to INTP, INFP as the two possible options that have NI6 slot. And, you know, it, are you more likely to apply that metric to, I guess, well, like, let me ask you about this. What do you think about individual rights as a way of guiding policy in government?
Um, like how do I think the individual should be able to impact what's
Or,
going on?
I mean, what's your if I were to advocate in favor of using a rights based framework to constrain the government and limit the ability of the government to interfere with the lives of people or something, what's your position on that?
I think that I really don't have a very positive position on the government. I never really have. So anything like that, I wouldn't be against. But I really don't try to even put my thought power into that type of stuff, just because it irritates me.
Okay, all right. So what
I
if I
be
were to
just because
argue? What if I were to argue from a philosophical position that said we ought always prioritize that which is uh, most effective as a guide for our lives. If I'm advocating that, do you have a position on that?
I would say what's most effective at doing what
Okay.
at
Let's say it's serving your own interests is my answer.
um I guess it would depend on your interest, but if it was, you know, I think that would be a good way to go about it. You have good interests at your heart.
Okay. And so it's a good way to go about it because one assumes one's own interests are good.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think basically.
Um, what do you think the path of self development is? Sorry, I keep yawning. I woke up really early this morning, and I've actually been up for quite a
There's just
while.
a little more. I have a little more thought to that because it's not just the individual's interests. It's your ability to keep your mind open to other people's interests as well, so you can create new interests, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's consistent with validating by a fifth slot FE. If you're an INFP, then you'd have ignoring FE, which means you validate externally things on how other focused, I guess, they are, how other focused attentive they are, which is different than really being other focused. So I'm attentive to being other focused in my perception management. I'm sort of incidentally other focused in my behavior, but it's not really like I pass on your metric regardless of the authenticity of my FE on that external metric. But the reason is because you're implicitly authentic, and as a consequence, you never really worry about yourself failing on an FE level. That's where I'm leaning at the moment with you is INFP. But okay, let me ask that next question. There is what's the path to growth for the INFP, assuming you are one.
Um, well, for me, it's been a lot of reflection, a lot of messing up, um, and basically that's it. You know, the more I've messed up, the more I've learned, obviously. Um, and I basically I'm always reflecting on something
Okay.
to try to get some type of something out of it, every experience.
Okay. Trying to get
I
something out of
think,
every experience. Huh? How's your self
and
care stuff? Like going to bed at a regular hour, feeding yourself enough, drinking enough water.
yeah, that's horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll forget to drink water sometimes all day long at work.
You might be an ISFP. That's very plausible as well. Because,
'Cause I'm really bad at that type of stuff, like taking notes, any type of details. I just can't. Putting my stuff away, keeping stuff in drawers. It's horrible.
okay. So, the interesting thing is, when talking about the reasons why you don't want to collapse things down or such, is there's more possibilities. That's very suggestive of INFP. But in a lot of other ways, your behavior is rather suggestive of ISFP. So, let's try an any polar test. So, here's my any polar test for today. I've got this new prototype of a product, and it's going to be a new action figure for people to buy, a toy action figure. And I currently call it Limbless Action Figure. But I think that's not a very good name. I'd like you to come up with 5 other names for my new prototype, Limbless Action Figure. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can look at it and give me 5 more names for Limbless Action Figure besides just Limbless Action Figure.
Oh, so it doesn't have to make people assume that it's an action figure?
Well, I mean, I'm saying I'm going to try to sell it as an action figure. I want you to give me
Yeah.
product names that are going to help it sell. Limbless Action Figure
As
doesn't
an
seem like a
action
good
figure.
name for it.
Okay. It looks like something you would throw at somebody to me. That's about all I could think I could use it for.
Okay.
I would hate to tell you that as a salesman because
So, but
I
what's the
can't.
name? I want you to help me come up with names for this product.
I'm trying. The Captain No Hands.
Captain No Hands. That's a good one.
He definitely doesn't have hands. Ew.
We have, we
Oh, the
have,
silver
we,
bodyboarder.
we have, I think, successfully reached a conclusion about your type, actually. You're an ISFP. You just tested positive for NE polar.
Hmm. What does that mean?
Well, what it means
What's
is
polar?
when I ask people to generate new possibilities for things, like give me 5 different reasons why the United States should invade Canada. Can you give me five possible different reasons?
Yeah.
What are your reasons?
I would say if they had too many Canadians sneaking over the border, um, if they were illegally drilling for oil on our land, maybe. If they were, they had gambling casinos or something in our land for some reason. I'm sure they could think of many reasons.
Okay, so that
If
right
we
there
wanted
is
something,
that's also very good in what it reveals, which is I can be very premature in my jumping to conclusions sometimes. Let's try a couple more of these and find out whether you're any polar or not. So I've got another new invention. I'm constantly coming up with new inventions. It's a leaf compactor to help you put away yard waste more efficiently. That has attached to it a barbecue that you can grill shit while compacting leaves. And I want you to help me come up with some snappy product names for this new product of mine.
yes, I'm just not good with that for some reason.
Oh,
I feel like I'm trying to
they
make something sell that I don't believe in.
they don't have to be good names.
You know what I mean?
Okay, well, okay. Let me
Just
come up with a
ruin.
better product. I've come up with a product that can help non-empathetic people be more in tune with other people's emotions and respect the individuality of others more. It's a pair of glasses that helps them to see in the intentional manner of feelings somehow. Now, I would like you to help me come up with a product name for this.
For the glasses. They, I don't know why this is like I have like writer's block in my head right now. I'm drawing absolute blanks for all of these.
Okay,
I'm
let's
just
try
trying to think.
let's try this one. Let's try a different approach. I'm going to begin a short poem and then I'm going to stop it and I want you to finish or continue the poem.
Okay.
Okay? Every time that mother comes to see me at my house, she brings with her a loaf of bread and also her pet mouse.
We sit and talk. She stays a while. We feed her mouse and I think something that rhymes with a while.
Make it smile.
There you go. That's good.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh,
Let
I'm
me
trying.
let me ask this. How about 5 different ways to retrieve something from the bottom of the ocean?
I guess you could get a submarine to go scuba diving. You could free dive. You could get a fishing pole and try to snag it with a hook. You could try to get it with a net. You could pay somebody to get it.
5 different ways I can convey to a girl that I like her without telling her in words or using any words.
You could give a rose. You could smile. You could um, just make it awkwardly noticeable. You could um, just tell her outright
That's
to,
words.
yeah, about whatever it is.
Okay, have you heard the troll question before?
Mm, no.
You're the mayor of a Middle Ages town. It's split in two by a river. On one side of the river are the farms and the food and the farmers. On the other side of the river are the townspeople and the merchants. Now, you're the mayor of this town, like I said, and it's the Middle Ages. The bridge that normally crosses your river and allows you to transport food and people across has been washed away by a late fall storm. It's now early winter. You've got enough food stored up to last you the whole winter, uh, just barely. But unfortunately, a river troll comes and takes up residence in your river. Now, this river troll has a magical power. It runs up almost as fast as light, and no matter how well you have it hidden, if you are traveling in a boat across the river and have a piece of food with you, of any sort, size, or whatever, it will run up and steal 10% of it and take it away. So if you have one piece of bread, 10% of this piece of bread. If you have a whole dead cow, 10% of the dead cow. All right, so that's the situation here. Now, the problem is if you pay this 10% troll tax, as the troll calls it, a troll tax, then some of your people will starve. And the people who say, we have to do something about this, Mayor. What are we going to do? So what do you do, Mayor?
And it's already winter, and it's too late to,
You can't plant anymore. Planting season's done. You can't rebuild the bridge until spring. Weather's too bad.
if I was the mayor, I would probably ask for volunteers to go without food for as long as possible to make do if we can't get rid of the troll.
Well,
Which I'm assuming you can't.
Well, you could try to get rid of the troll. There's nothing saying you absolutely cannot, but how are you going to do so?
Yeah, exactly. I would say I would ask for volunteers to see if we could make it through, because I think if enough people tried.
Even if everybody rations at maximal, you'll still have some starvations, and the people aren't satisfied with that solution.
And if you try to kill the troll, then he's liable to kill everybody. So,
well, you don't know that yet. You have it.
Yeah, you don't know that for sure, but you know what you're going to have to pay him, and you know what that cost is.
Yeah.
So it's either gambling or doing this. So I guess I think I would just, I hate to say it, but I think I would just not gamble on messing with a troll that's that fast back in the Middle Ages.
Okay. All right. Fine. This is really interesting because what I'm seeing here is on the creative NE tests, you are testing NE polar, but on the warrants NE test, you're testing NE successful. So this is not something I've encountered before, and I'm interested to get people's response from the viewing audience here. Or I may have encountered it in Sheila as well. You may be like Sheila. One of the problems I have was Sheila self-identifies as an FI-DOM, believes she is one, and is not happy with the typing I've given her so far as ISFP. I mean, as potentially INFP, or I don't remember even what I typed her as, but she thinks she's an FI-DOM and an ISFP, but she passes my NE polar test. You would seem to be the same sort of individual, an ISFP, as far as I can tell, who passes the NE polar test, at least half of it. You pass half of it. So that's curious, and I don't know quite what to make of it. But let me try a few more reasons questions, because this is an excellent opportunity to kind of test this out a bit. Can you give me 5 reasons why a person might want to move from Australia to New Zealand?
I think New Zealand's a little bit closer to the mainland than Australia, isn't it?
What mainland? I don't know.
The English,
Yeah,
India.
I have no idea.
If it is, then that could be a reason. They don't they have the different laws, different rights, um, possibly, I'm saying, uh, maybe different, freedoms, which same thing as rights.
Hmm.
Or they just want to change the scenery and not live on such a big landmass in the middle and want
So
to live on a little
can you
island.
can you describe to me your thought process as you're trying to answer that question?
I'm trying to imagine why I would want to move from somewhere.
I see. I see.
And I was
Okay.
trying to imagine, what with Australia and New Zealand's not too far from Australia, and why would you want to move from there to there?
Okay.
Or why would I?
I mean, look, that seems like a very FI deliberative approach, and it suggests perhaps that FI deliberation can produce NE like answers in an FI DOM potentially. If you know clearly why you might want to move from a place, and you can present those reasons as reasons why that other person might want to move from that place, or someone
Yeah.
might. But how does that fit in with a question like the bottom of the ocean? What's your process thinking about that? How to get to the bottom of the ocean? Get the thing from the bottom of the ocean.
Well, I've lived 5 minutes from the ocean. I have my whole life, so I know a lot of ways to get to get to the bottom of the
Okay,
ocean.
well, what if I were to ask you?
I've never been good at coming up with names for songs or lyrics or poems and stuff like that my whole life. I've never been any good at that for some reason.
Okay, could you talk to me about 5 possible ways to get an airplane clean quickly on the inside?
I guess you could hire a bunch of people. You could spray it with a fire hose. You could burn it and build a new airplane entirely and be clean. You burned it. You could spray it down with bleach. Yeah.
Okay, all right, interesting. So, I mean, the thing is, you do have fourth slot TE. So when I ask ways to do things, it makes sense that you'd be able to figure out ways to do things. Those are TE style questions. Um, what are 5 different ways, sentences that a person might use to express the notion that they prefer tomatoes over broccoli?
um, I think broccoli is better than tomatoes with wine. I like broccoli better than tomatoes. I dislike broccoli and am extremely excited about tomatoes. I really have a bad relationship with broccoli, but me and tomatoes get along great.
Okay, all right, interesting. You're an interesting case study. Uh, I'm gonna try one more name question with you. Okay, so how about names for my my haircut machine? What it does is it gives you a perfect bowl haircut. This cuts all the way around right here, but it does it in 30 seconds. All you do is sit down in the chair, put it on your head, and it goes, and you're done. Now, can you help me come up with 5 different names for this product?
Um, okay, the haircut machine, the bowl cutter, the hair circle slicer. It's cutting a circle. They're not going to be good. Just
That's
trying to
fine.
give you some names.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. So I'd love to get the viewing audience's input on all this stuff, frankly, because I'm not quite sure what to make of it all. I would say,
I
I
can't put myself in anybody's shoes with that situation or with what you're presenting. That's the thing.
Uh-huh. That's the
Which
thing.
I knew
That's
there
the
was something I
thing.
was going to mention. It was right on the tip of my tongue. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't.
Okay, well, regardless, it's very interesting, and I think that with some time to think about it and some commentary from people watching the video, that I'm gonna walk away from this with a much clearer understanding of how to test for any polar, and I think I might also end up walking away from it with an explanation for how Sheila can be ISFP and test negative for any polar too, which is a nice sort of killing two birds with one stone. Which feels kind of like a good spot to wrap up this video. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, cognitive function wise, or anything else you want to say before we call it an episode?
No, is there anything you wanted to add or ask me?
I feel very satisfied by this as a complete NI thing. It's like it satisfies a whole now. It's kind of come full circle and presents a really interesting launching off point for future ideation for the viewers and for myself. So I think it's a good spot to end it.
Okay, great.
All right, cool. Thanks very much, James, and thank you, viewing audience, for watching. See you next time on Talking with Famous People.